What's going on, guys? BLAZIN here, and welcome back to another episode of the Knights of Teleria. And I hope you're ready for a fun and exciting show. And we can't do the show without some of the best content creators in the space. To my right, you guys have Mr. JR3. Jay, how are you doing, sir?
Doing really good, man. Just been doing this champion training event, or is it tournament? And I just been going pretty hard on that, doing some turn attacks and just preparing for the next Fragment Summoner Fusion coming up.
Nice. Next to you, we have the one, the only Nacho. By the way, did you get the divorce papers yet?
Oh, yes, of course. I sent them over.
Okay. How are you doing, Nacho?
Well, much better now that I'm getting a divorce. So we're gonna have a party about that. You know, get the homies over here, throw some champagne around, all that.
Wait, you was married?
Yeah. Well, BLAZIN and I were married.
Oh.
It's finalized.
Yeah, we're finalizing that this week finally. So the lawyers are taking care of it. You know, so we're in there, man. We're in there, hanging in there.
Hey, at least I get to keep my 19 million player power. Okay, you're not getting any of that.
Yeah, you ain't touching my 20 either, all right? It seems like a real 50-50 split.
And right above from Mr. Nacho, we have FinalKenpachi. Kenpachi, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me again. I'm working on the Wukong 4-star Soul, which is awesome. I know this event actually. It's not that hard. And Wukong is hella worth it. It's not like Panda, like previous event. They did a Panda champion training, I think it was. But the problem of that, I'm not even gonna mention Panda worth it or not. Even let's say it's a Taras and I have a Taras. I cannot do that because you need to win your tournaments. I cannot win it. There is always bigger fish than you. I'm not even fish. I'm tadpole.
You're a guppy. You're a guppy. All right, so we have a lot of fun things to talk about today, right? We have a lot of players quitting Raid, right? We have the turn attack tournaments, and those seem to be a little bit of fun. And then, we did get the ball dropped on us about the bigger than Raid content, so I feel like we got to start prepping for it. Even though we don't know what it is, there's got to be some stuff going on. But before we get into that, let's talk about our question of the week, right? And so this week, my question to you guys is, what was your favorite sport when you were a child? Let's start out with Nacho first.
Oh, definitely football. That's
Okay.
The one. So.
Okay. Let's go with Jay next.
My favorite would probably be, I guess, because I'm Hispanic, but probably soccer. But I also like a little bit of like gymnastics, kind of like running, like track. I like track, gymnastics. I like that too. But I guess soccer is probably the actual sport that I would say that I played a lot when I was younger. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, soccer. And Kenpachi, what about you?
I never been big fan of sport, to be honest. My favorite, in Turkey, football is the big thing. But soccer, or you guys can. I'm never big fan of it. But I think right now I can say beach volleyball, definitely.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to touch that subject. Okay. So for myself, when I was younger, I grew up in Greece, and the big thing there was always soccer, right? Basketball was a thing, but it was always soccer. So I enjoyed and I played soccer up until my high school year, and then I did just try some hockey. I was okay at that, and then I did some football. I think I lasted 2 weeks on the team, and then I said, I'm done with this. I'm going back to soccer. So soccer was definitely the one for me. Now, what have you guys been up throughout the week? We've had a lot of fun things, or I'm going to call them fun things, going on throughout the week. But Jay, what have you been up to, man?
I've actually just been trying to re-gear champions for Nightmare Hydra. I can't one key full auto, so I'm trying to see if I can get things a little bit more maximized in terms of there. And I usually semi-auto, right? Which some people might know that is like you press auto, but you only click on the heads who get digested. I want everything to be full auto, where I don't even have to clock. I just walk away and just start the battle, and then it wins no matter what situation, no matter what heads. That's kind of what I'm working for in terms of regearing, and of course regearing PvP champions, because people keep talking about my Taras. So eventually that will get done.
Okay. Hey, how many Acrysias do you have so you can make it full auto?
0.
Oh, okay. And talk to us when you got a couple of Acrysias, and then you might be able to get a full auto. Nacho, what have you been up to, man?
Live arena. So much live arena.
Okay. Are we in gold 2, gold 3 now? Because I think during the content creator competition, you were in gold 1, right?
Yeah, I just hit gold 2. This week I went like 70-5, I think.
Okay.
Nice.
So we were smoking kids left and right.
Okay. Hey, who are you leaning into for this?
Warlord, Duchess, Taras, Wukong, and Inithwi.
Ooh, okay.
Okay. Block revive.
Inithwi's won me more fights than fucking Taras lately. Easily.
Yeah, well, that's because Taras is getting banned and Inithwi's not, right?
Yeah. No, not true at all. Inithwi gets banned more often than Taras does. It's either my
Really?
Inithwi's getting banned or Warlord's getting banned. Well, yeah, because if you ban Taras, you're giving me Warlord.
That's true. Most
Most of the time. Like, and most people aren't first picking lockouts. They're either first picking Siffis or they're first picking Wukong. Like, almost always. It's either like Dutch Siffy, Wukong, or Shuzen. It's
Okay.
almost always the first pick.
All right. And Kempachi, what about you? What have you been up to this week, man?
Well, Nacho is not alone. I'm also hit the gold too.
Nice. Congrats.
And this week, lots of takeover. Barely playing on my account. Lots of people asking to have special clan mates. Playing Cyberpunk at the same time on the weekend. I'm really enjoying right now. I put very nice costume to my character, especially when she's riding a bike. That's very nice. And yeah, I got my second Harima on the 1+1 event with the Alva. That was amazing. Sadly, I cannot open my shard on the Sife 2x 10x Void Sharple because my last Void Legendary Champion was Sife, and I'm 70 shard away from the Mercy. Like, that was terrible timing for Pilarium for me. Like, and I skipped this event. 0 shard.
Okay. Let me ask you, right here, what do you want to trade for that second Harima?
Taras.
Damn.
She's waifu. She's waifu.
Damn. I was hoping you didn't say that. All right. So myself, this week, it's been kind of a chill week. I've been enjoying a lot of the tournaments we've been doing, coming up with some different comps and stuff like that. And, I haven't done too much account stuff going on, but just, I'm not going to lie. I've been playing a little more of Watcher of Realms than, Raid, but yeah, it's been a fun time. All right, so let's get into the show. Let's talk about what everybody is here for, right? Now, over the last couple of weeks, I've been seeing it, whether it's been on Reddit, whether it's been in Discord channels, whether content creators are coming out and making, videos about it. Raid dying, Raid players leaving, and I see where they're going. And the sentiment from a lot of the community is that they are leaving. I mean, we've had clan members of mine this week that have just got up and said, guys, I'm done. Sorry, I'm out of here. I've had even viewers that are coming up to me saying, here's my account, give it away, do whatever you want with it. I don't care. I'm done playing. And we're talking about some Krakens. We're talking whales, free-to-play players that have been playing for 3+ years at some points, and they're just done and over with. Are you guys finding this within your communities? Let's go with Nacho first. So is this something you're seeing?
Not really. I've actually seen between 5 and 10 new players this week that started the game. So I've been in a lot of endgame communities, and I think a lot of people overestimate how many people actually make it to endgame in any game, not just raid. Um, and the reality is, it's like 0.5% of people are going to be endgame, and so you're naturally going to lose a portion of those people over time. Like any endgame clan in any game is gonna happen. So the real question is, do you have new player acquisition within your game? Right? That's one of the biggest things. Like RuneScape, you couldn't get a new player into the game if you wanted to. It wasn't a thing. That was one of the hardest parts, and that's why that game actually dying. So I think a lot of people overestimate what dying means in terms of gaming. Games like World of Warcraft. You couldn't get somebody new to play World of Warcraft that didn't play it as a kid at this point. There's too much in the game. You just had too much of a disadvantage between knowledge and skill just because the game is so old. So I'm not really
Okay.
seeing it in my communities though. We've lost a couple people in my clan, obviously. Like some big changes happen, you're gonna lose some things, but nothing like an abnormal amount of people playing the game by any. So
Okay. Okay. Kenpachi, what about you? Are you seeing that trend as well, or no?
Actually, I saw a friend. He was watching me for a while, but he was gone because he quit the game and he's not watching me anymore. Then I see him recently. He said he's back. I told him. I asked him why you back. He said he liked the Wukong. We actually
Okay.
give his account before my community. We give away his account. So he's like, I start a new account, but I guess it's better for me to buy the new account. He said, like, I mean, like Nacho said, like people gonna create, but the real question is like, I really don't like, especially some content creator like making like, this clickbait title like Red Dying. Like, I swear to God, every single new mobile game releasing, Red is dying. Like
Yeah.
I'm tired of to see this title. Like Raid is already dead. Like they are missed the opportunity, but guys, Genshin Impact killed the Raid. Honkai Star also killed the Raid twice. I mean, these games are killed Raid like multiple times. But rest of the games they are talking about, like what was that? Like I don't even remember their name. Now people are talking about
Ace.
Watcher of Ram, Ace, Awaken Chaosera. Yep. After that, there was one more game, right?
There
Anyway,
was, yeah.
like all of them is Raid is dying. I believe it's gonna be same with the Watcher of Ram. I'm not saying Watcher of Ram is bad game. There is some drama going on their side as well with the skin give you stat bonus. But the real issue is people are quitting because of the new changes. Raid did that, or they just got bored. Like I always say that, like spending money is killing the fun. I mean, yeah, it's give you fun, but like when you end game, you have every champion. Getting new champion, it doesn't give you any more fun. Like what you gonna do? Like you already have like 4+4 Sifi. You are done. Like there is nothing gonna give you fun anymore. I mean, I'm thinking that like ultra rare people are getting bored because they got everything. They are done with the game, and that's totally normal to be honest.
Okay. Okay. Jay, what about you?
Me particularly, yeah, I haven't really seen a lot of like in my community, maybe like one, but that's pretty much it. Like we're getting so many new players, it's crazy. Like probably I would say on a weekly basis, maybe 5 to 6 players every week, new people. Maybe because I'm also throwing out some free to play content that's fairly new as well. So people are like, hey, I just started an account because I saw your video or something like that. So that helps out bringing new people as well. But then a lot of people as well just coming in probably from other sponsors or stuff like that. But it's actually seasonal. I noticed like there'll be months where I don't see a lot of new people, and then there's certain months that just tons of new people. And I think it's the past month and a half has been a lot of new players. Maybe Plarium or something behind the scenes, when they see a lot of people leave, they put a lot more into getting more people in. But I look at it this way: if more people don't want to play and they're not using their accounts or giving it to someone who's not going to go hard as the previous player was going, that's a pretty good thing. That means it allows someone else who is probably, late to end game might actually, if they really care and they push really hard, they can get up there. I look at it this way, like, look at me, like, everyone always, whenever they see me, they're always like, I'm like the underdog. They're always like, oh, you should be at this point. You should be at this point. You should be at this point. And I eventually get there. It's not a race. It's a marathon. I just play and enjoy it, and eventually I'll get there. But yeah, I definitely help out a lot of new people. I would tell to those new players, if you're watching this, maybe through the VOD or live, that get yourself in a clan that's active, that like you guys can talk about builds and different strategies and stuff like that, to actually keep you wanting to go all the way. Because if you're just looking at all these people spending tons of money, or people watching videos that are saying negativity, you're just gonna be like, why am I even wasting my time? You're gonna want to leave. You're not gonna get past mid or even late game and just quit anyways. So
Okay. All right, real quick, let me acknowledge some of the chat that we got here. I see some lurkers in there, but we got DJan on the stream. Thank you for joining us. And Mr. Mo, thank you for joining us. Now, one of the biggest complaints that I was getting from these players, because I really, and I wanted to invite them on and have them on the channel and talk with them about why they're quitting. But their big thing was they felt burnt out. They felt burnt out by the multiple shard events, right? Up until maybe like the last week or so, it was just continuous shard after shard after shard, 10x, 2x, 10x guaranteed. And, I could see a little bit where they feel like they're just being burnt out by that and they're being milked. You guys think that that was an accurate feeling, I guess I could say? Let's go with Nacho first.
So no, I don't think this is a justified feeling to have, to be honest. I can remember very vividly, there was one day in Raid where there wasn't a single event. Okay, there wasn't an artifact enhancement, there wasn't a champ training, there wasn't nothing. The entire community blew up. There were dozens of Reddit posts, there were YouTube videos, there was fucking people everywhere freaking out that there was nothing to do in Raid. Oh my god. Okay? Now you have options of what you want to do in Raid. Why is that bad?
Well, let me be a little more specific. We're not talking about everything else in Raid. We're talking about specifically like the shard events and just feeling like they're being milked out.
You're not being milked. You can choose when to pull your shards. You don't have to pull on every single 10x. Just because there's one in the middle of the week and there was one on the weekend, that doesn't mean anything. If you weren't going to pull on the weekend, why do you have to pull on the middle of the week? You know what I mean? You don't have to pull on every single shard event. That is just a cop out to say, "Oh, I can't, man. I have to save and make choices on which event I pull on." Oh my lorsh! God forbid I have choices. Back when they didn't even schedule 2x's regularly. You remember that? You had to wait 6 months for a 2x.
Yeah.
A 2x.
Yeah.
Let alone a 10x for a champion you wanted. These are just completely unjustified opinions of people just parroting bullshit over and over and over again.
You know what I think it is? I think what it is that people higher up have a little bit, let's say, spending power, and they get kind of a little bit of FOMO'd, but they're like, I have money, so I can do it. But then they, over time, over the years or months, they feel like they're getting a little bit milked, but they don't have to do it. But they feel like they have to if they want to keep competing. Right, because they want to be at that same level like everybody else is. Then what ends up happening is they two things. One, they get frustrated and leave, and they come back, right, and they do the same process all over again, which is kind of nuts. And then the other process is they just go free to play for a certain amount of time, and they say this: I'm a free to play player now, and they don't spend nothing until they find the right. They're like, wait, I gotta spend the prism shards for the newts. Like how many people went crazy on that, right? So like. I think these little things like that, and then when they don't get what they want, it feels good when you get that dopamine or get what you want, but when you don't, you get mad, right? And you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done this. You didn't have to. The game doesn't force you. It doesn't literally pull your shards. It doesn't say you have to do this now, or you can't even build a champion. Like, it just gives you the option. And I think now we have too much options to the point where people they don't want to miss nothing, because before there wasn't anything. So now that there's all this stuff, people want to go for it all. I didn't go for the RTAC. I did like I got him like 2-star or something like that. I wanted to, or 3. I wanted to go all the way, but I couldn't. It was going to cost me more money that I didn't have. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna push until I can, and then that's it. But for Razelvarge, I had enough resources to go all the way for that, and now for this Wukong, I'm gonna go all the way for that as well. So you just gotta do what you can. You can't do everything, you know. And that, a lot of these people who have money power, at least a little bit more spending, they go a little too ham, and then they milk themselves when you don't have to.
Yeah, I do see that it's, you know, some of the players that I spoke with were, you know, some were mid-tier spenders, some were very heavy whales. And, you know, so I do get the sentiment from that. But Kempachi, let me ask you, I know you're the Mr. $14 free to play, but is this an issue? Do you see this being an issue?
No, like I'm not even opening my chart on the 2x, like, or even 2x 10x if it is not interesting to me. Which is like, guys, like 10x, like, I mean, like, I'm always saying that, like, if you guys have a over 1000 chart, go for 10x. I'm not pretty sure actually. I think Smile just opened like over 1000 chart and he didn't get a 10x champion. I think it was Kaimar. Anyway, if you guys have over 1000 chart, try your luck on the 10x. 10x chance is super low. Guys, like, let me explain you like that. Every time Raid release a new champion, I believe they are going to release it after CVC next week. Probably Fusion going to be started. Your chance of getting 10x is keep reducing. And this is the simple mathematics. I mean, like 2 years ago 10x, today 10x, there is a big difference. So forget about the 10x. If you are low spender free to play, forget about the 10x. 2x is still good if you are on the early game. I recommend it. But if you're in the end game, if you only need specific champion, maybe consider your luck with the, especially when you are close to Mercy on the 1+1 event or the 10x, you know. But the problem is, nobody forcing you to spend your resources if you don't need the content. Like, do you need a legendary book from the champion training? You can get legendary book from the clan boss. It's just gonna take more time, but you can get it. You can save your potion or whatever needed. I got over 4000 potion. People are asking me why. I'm saving them. Maybe there is something coming in the future, and I don't want to be like, oh man, I don't have resources, I cannot go. If I don't have resources, I can't go. I don't have a luxury to spend money on that, right? So I have to be careful whenever I spend my resources. And another thing, like they said, like there is too much 10x event or too much stuff you said. I mean, I don't know. I never go casino, guys. How is the Las Vegas? Like you are entering casino and you are saying, "Oh man, there is too many slot machine there. Oh, leave me out. Let me out here." Like, are you saying like that? Like, how is that work? I don't. It kind of looks weird to me.
It's true. It's true. You know, Raid is a casino. You just get a different type of reward and dopamine for it, right? You get the enjoyment rather than the money. But yeah, you know, it just seemed that we were getting a lot of 10x's, 2x's, and they were doing a lot of really good champions. Like we had Shuzhen, we had the Taras, Maritka. So it seemed, you know, and it was literally, most of them were like the OP Void champions. And so I could see how a lot of the community felt milked. You know, but again, you guys are definitely right. No one was forcing you to pull your shards then. It was just a great way of FOMO. And if there's one thing that Raid does better than graphics, it is definitely making you FOMO the events, right? I don't know. Do you guys disagree, Jay?
No, I totally agree, man. Like there's so many times that even I would say the two main ones that I had to spend money because I just could. I didn't prepare myself, or I didn't think they were gonna do it, right? The Lady Kimmy guaranteed. I should have already seen that they were already doing Shadowkin. And eventually she was one of the new champions. Of course she's going to be guaranteed, right? But during that time I was going for her. Couldn't actually get her because I didn't have enough shards. And I thought to myself, I can get $150 and actually guarantee to get this champion and maybe some other stuff too. And this champion's actually could do some work in tag team and classic arena. And I didn't, of course, live arena was going to eventually come out. So I prepped for that. She turned out to be really good in Hydra as well. Didn't go for it. And now I have one hold slot. So like I can see where FOMO like kind of makes people want to, because you're like I have to. Like it works with like I like have very high speed teams, or it, you know, I want Shadowkin to be fast, or whatever you want, or the increased accuracy as well. If you didn't have a lot of increased accuracy champions, that could be something at the time. Do I regret it? It's kind of a mixed bag there, but overall, I'm not crying, right? I can always find another solution to make up for it. Now I have 2 Valkyries, right? Because I don't have Lady Kimmy, so you sometimes can't go for everything. And if you do go for everything, where are you gonna get all the books for it? Where are you gonna get all the resources for all this champ? It's more work you have to do. I keep telling people that just because it's a new champ, that's still investment and work you have to put into it. So you have to ask yourself, cool, it's the champ, but are you gonna keep, you know, go all the way? So that's one thing I feel like that a lot of people. There's just a lot of different, like, you know, things. For me, the things that are most valuable, the 1+1s, the guaranteed champions, those are, you know, you're gonna get something like most of the time out of it. Is something really good. 10x's, I'm honestly just gonna stop. This is my 3rd 10x Siffy. 3rd that I went hard and pulled at least like 50 to 100 void shards. I got a Yakarl the first time. Now I got a Venus, and then the next time I think it was an Ethos or something. I haven't got Siffy, but I pull a random shard, random sacred, not near Mercy, randomly RNG, right? And I got a Harima during her 10x Harima. So you can't control it. It's 100% RNG. So like you know, I just tell people just play the game like the best resources possible and just don't go crazy. You can't go for everything. Just get the most important things, you know, that you can.
Hey, weren't you the creator that fed a Sifi?
Yes, and 5 other legendaries as well. And so it's technically 10 legendaries. So 1 Siffy plus 9 other random legendaries.
So you had a Sifi, you just fed her.
Yes.
Not on his account.
Yeah, no, I'm not that crazy.
You fed some Legos on his account.
Yeah.
Like the first time, then you gave him a different account, or he fed the Siffy and the Legos.
Yeah. I you know, the very first time I actually heard of Jay was on the Raid Awards, and I saw his video and I was like, wait, what did this guy just do? And then ever since then I started watching him. But Nacho, what about you? What do you think? Is Raid the master of FOMOs, and do they do a great job at keeping you FOMO'd at missing something?
Kind of, sorta. I guess this Wukong event's a great example. They give you an option to get something, but you don't necessarily have to take that option a lot of times as well. There's a longer path to that almost every single time. These 10x events, actually, I just see them as options for people to be versatile with their choices. Okay, so Kenpachi right now, as a free-to-play player, owns a Siffy already. How
One shot.
is it? What? Okay, so he's on. Right, he has the issue right now where he can't pull on this 10x because his last Lego was Siffy. Okay, the real question is, would a second Siffy help his account as much as a different Void Lego? You know what I mean? There are a lot of other Void Legos that would be much more helpful for, as a Shuzen, Akrisia, Taurus, all kinds of them, Marichka, that would help him. So is being the 2x and the 10x this weekend that bad for him, or is it good that he knows that he's going to be able to pull his Mercy fairly soon, probably within the next month? You know what I mean? He doesn't have to wait 6 months for a 10x that's worth anything for him. You know what I mean? If they do a Shuzen 10x again, that's fairly good value for him. If there's a Taurus 10x, a Georgia 10x, you know what I mean? These are events that are worth him to pull on. So I don't think they do FOMO as much, but they do say, here's an event and you can go for it.
Okay. All right. Kenpachi, what about you? Do you think, especially being a free-to-play player, the FOMO for Raid is real? Is it? Do they suck you in to pull your resources?
What does FOMO mean?
Fear of missing out.
I mean, I'm fearing of missing off the future content if I use my resources right now. Like, if I use my resources right now, the something I don't really need it. Like Wukong Soul, for example. It's not hard to get it. Like, you can pretty much get it like from your almost daily energy. Yes, you need to spend a little bit more. And if you have like a nice amount of the silver as well from the last pet event, which is I didn't get all the way, guys. Even I skipped some points there because I checked the schedule. I think we are getting like 1,750 or maybe 1,850 point total point, which is to get a Wukong 4-star soul. You only need 1,000 point, which is you can skip too many event. The event you don't like it, the event you don't have resources. You know, like game is not like, hey man, if you are gonna miss that, you are done, you are out. You know, there is no way to go back. You know, no, this event is not like that. You can skip multiple event tournament. You just need to calculate by yourself your resources, you know, stuff like that. Wukong is definitely worth it. He's amazing champion. He's definitely god tier champion. And here's the thing, like getting 4-star of the Wukong is not
huge.
gonna, yeah, it's gonna take very long time. Even you have a resources, let's say you have essences. RNG, you need to wait and see Wukong soul on your bazaar, so you can purchase it. I don't think you can pull him, which is my wishlist never were. The thing is, Wukong is not my priority right now. Yes, I'm using him special on Tag Team Arena, but not really using him too much on the live arena or the classic arena. But it doesn't mean that he's a bad champion. I like to get the Wukong soul in here, so I don't have to worry about purchasing soul of the Wukong. So I can go work on my Siphi, which is I got recent 4-star on my Siphi. I have resources to make her 5-star. After that, I need to get 300 golden. It's gonna take some time, but she's gonna be my second 6-star champion, which is first one was the Duchess. I just purchased her star slowly from the bazaar. I didn't pull her, you know, like I pulled 3-star Mitrella, which is I have a 3-star Mitrella. So as I know, you cannot get dupe of Mitrella. So for example, that was my wishlist, biggest wishlist pull ever. So no, it's not scaring me. The thing is, do you know what is scaring me?
What's that?
If I open my chart right now, and if they do guarantee legendary champion in the future, the champion I want, and if I wasn't have a shard, that will scare me because, like I said, I cannot get the shard. I can maybe purchase the engine shard, but if they are doing like secret or the void, which is whenever they do Riho guarantee event first time, I was like, oh no guys, they are not gonna do guarantee legendary void champion. If I didn't think like that, hey guys, maybe they are gonna do it, let me save my shard, I will have a Rio right now, and my maybe Sun Devil and the Phantom Shogun team gonna be way faster than a Godseeker team, you know? So I wasn't saving my void shard back in that day, so I missed the Rio. Yeah, that will be scare me more. So I'm still saving my shard. I actually go Veil out on the last 1+1 at the same time 10x Harima event. You remember like a couple of weeks ago from the secret chart. I opened 10 secret chart, nothing. Okay, I said I'm done guys, I'm not gonna go hard. Then chat is like, you know, like push me a little bit. I open another 10, still nothing. Then I end up opening 31.
Oh.
I got my legendary champion from 28 secret chart, which is 5 Ryzen and Helior. I think that's what I got.
Okay.
And rest of them I also didn't got any Lego, so my secret chart literally went to 0. So if they are gonna do like guarantee secret event right now, I'm gonna be trouble. I pay my taxes that day, so from like last 1+1 engine chart, no 10x, I got my second Harima. There you go.
Okay.
RNG.
Okay. Real quick, let me acknowledge some of the chat. We got Tiger Blad in the stream. We got Zero Brew. Guys, Zero Brew is also a content creator. He has a YouTube channel and a Twitch. If you guys haven't heard of him already, please make sure you go follow him over on YouTube and, go subscribe to him over on Twitch. It doesn't cost anything, right? And he's lots of fun to hang out with. Just make him sure he always dabs at least once or twice in the stream, right? And then we got Zokin, I Am Alter, and Time Twin. Okay. Anybody else lurking? Guys, also, I don't want to make a habit of this, but if you guys wouldn't mind, if you are enjoying the stream, hit that thumbs up button. Let's get some more people in here. Let's get the rest of these content creators acknowledged. Let's give them all their proper dues. Thank you. All right, so let's talk about, the other thing that most of them were talking about was the fusions. And I know Nacho's first thing is going to be, you don't have to go for it, right? But we, as Kenpachi said, we don't know what's coming down the pipeline. So they are, in sense, creating some FOMO with the interesting kits that they give us, like the Panda. We thought was going to be pretty good, right? But myself, I'm struggling to find out where I can use them. I have them all ready to go, right? And
I'm sorry, can I say something real quick then?
Yep.
If you guys doesn't know, by the way, maybe you guys like, oh, you guys are cis, you guys getting information earlier. Guys, like, they share like information with us like 2 hours earlier, which is I wasn't even ever made a content about it, which is usually I'm on the stream. So they are not sharing information with us like a day earlier or 2 days earlier, stuff like that. So if they are gonna do like guarantee, I'm just saying like end of run event, we will gonna know that maybe 1 hour, maybe 2 hours earlier. That's all. So there is no way we can save resources for it after this time.
Yeah, that is true, actually. And I can speak to that because that's been actually my biggest complaint. And I see where they're coming from because, myself working full time, both Jay and Kenpachi are also working full time, and we have our lives that we need to pay the bills for. We're not full time content creators. And I've asked them, I'm like, can we get the information before? But unfortunately, one bad apple will spoil everything for everybody else. So, one little leak happens and it just creates problems. So yeah, we don't really get much time on them. We get maybe, I think, an hour or two sometimes. If they're, if we're lucky, we'll get maybe a 24-hour, but that's really much about it. Now, they do a great, as I was saying, they do a great job at, making us feel, like I said, the Panda with the enfeebled debuff. I was like, man, we're going to be able to use this. Where are we going to be able to use it? It seems like it's going to be needed. But back to my point, I've been having a hard time trying to find where I can showcase this guy that's, decent, because he requires some setup, right? Avenging is the best set for him. But back to the fusions. Are you guys feeling burnt out about the fusions? Is it like, I know, again, I'm always a proponent of saying, let's go for every fusion possible. And I have skipped once since I started playing, but what about you guys? Let's start with Kenpachi.
Panda Fusion, especially. I mean, Panda Fusion, I believe we talked that before as well. Like, it was very easy fusion. Like, at this point, like, you just need to pull the epic champion from the first event, then you can pretty much skip every dungeon diver event, I believe, and that was it. And if you already save your shard, which is I recommend it, save your shard if you are low spender or the free to play. Like, if you guys don't want to get struggle during the fusion, you guys need to stop opening your shard for no reason. Like 2x, 10x, 1+1, whatever you say. Yes, you guys maybe gonna skip all this event, but at least you don't have to worry about the upcoming content. Let's say it's a fusion. Let's say there's going to be good fusion. I'm not specifically talking about Panda, but Islam, for example, right? He was amazing on the Hydra. And instead of opening your shard and getting random garbage champion, very high potential, you could get a Islam, or the G-Nut. Man, imagine cannot get the G-Nut because you open your shard on the last 2x event or whatever. This will be biggest issue. But Panda was the super easy, and because of that, I'm not gonna go very hard on him because fusion was easy. I got him, but I'm not building him. Building him is not an issue, guys. Like, I can get a masters as well. Raid give us a gem, right? Weekly gem is a CC perk. But the problem is they doesn't give us legendary book. They only give legendary book to tier 3 CC, which is I'm not gonna spend my legendary book on the Panda. I'm sorry, guys. Like.
Yeah, I mean, I can't lie. I booked my Panda and I got him ready to go and I started testing him. I spent the gems for the masteries. I booked everything out. I even went and I did the 4-star blessing for him, and I'm like, okay. And I'm sitting through it. And, sometimes I get some inspiration sometimes from watching the optimizers, seeing, okay, well, what are other people trying? Let me see, is it, is someone out there doing something that I'm not seeing? But it's really not a lot, right? It just, I don't know. It just not, I'm beginning to think he wasn't worth it. I mean, he looks cool, but yeah. Nacho, what, yep.
I'm sorry. Actually, one of my clanmates and a couple of people on my chat said like, "Hey, bro, I'm using Panda on my Hydra and I'm happy about it." Some people actually love him on the Hydra, so which is good. I think it's more than what we are thinking, which is good. It's a good thing. Some people are actually using him on the Hydra. They are happy.
Okay, I'm gonna. Is it Nightmare Hydra or is it like brutal or hard?
I believe my clanmate using on the hard difficulty.
Okay.
Maybe brutal, not nightmare. I believe who was that? Noob Raid, I think. I think he made one video about him on the nightmare difficulty. Brutal,
Yeah.
my bad. Still very solid, brutal to be honest. Yeah, it wasn't bad to be honest. His performance.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Go ahead, Jay.
well, Nacho's gonna be next, but just as a random thought, I basically, if you look at his kit, like he has multiple champion skills, just kind of on different A2 and A3. So if you don't have these champions that have increase attack, and then another he does the increase extension of buffs and decrease. So if you don't have a champion that does that, he's kind of a champion that has 2 different or 3 champions all into one skill kit. It's a little bit longer, so you have to build them a little bit faster or use things like reflex or maybe relentless to help out reduce those cooldowns. But overall, if you don't have those, he can do what 2 champions do in one kit, which is good. But most people who are in game or been playing this game a long time already have those champions. So when you look at this champ, you're like, well, it's nothing special because you already have those champions that do that on your account. Therefore, you look at this and you go, oh, well, what am I gonna do with this? I mean, it's just something extra. But yeah, I'll talk about my thoughts into the future. We'll go Nacho go next.
Okay, Nacho, what about you? You're muted, bro.
Which one are you asking me? Because you switched questions now.
Sorry. The burnout with the fusions. Are you finding them? That you have to do every single one of them. I guess we got a little bit off track.
This fusion's on a pretty set schedule. Actually, Island's was shorter. That was the biggest caveat that I had with Island, was that his fusion was like 13 days instead of 18. Hey, Dewey, you want to stop? Was like 13 days instead of 18-day average, but that just means we had a longer downtime in between that fusion and Bambus. Right. So Bambus was even easier because you had more time. So personally, I've never had a problem doing any fusions whatsoever. If you save all literally just your sacred shards, you don't need to save a single other shard on your account. For fusions, you'll get every single one. Every single one. No problem. This fusion took 10 sacreds. It was 5,000 summon rush points. That was the whole fusion for all your shards. And it was like one of the most affordable fusions that we've had in a long time. Because you only needed to do the one event to the epic, and that was it. And then you also got to skip all of the dungeon diver events. You got to skip 3 dungeon diver events and the champ chase by getting to the epic. So it was pretty decent. I think people just failed to prepare. So that's
okay. So no burnout for you then.
No,
you're full.
It's been there's like 2.5, 3 weeks in between every fusion basically. So I don't see the problem. We've had a set schedule for years at this point. Literally like 2.5, 3 years. We've had a fusion every single month. So no, I don't find it.
Jay, what about you?
In terms of burnout, I will say that it's kind of a weird gray area because you could say yes. Remember back then points were smaller, but then also the rewards they gave us was less. We didn't have I have more sacreds, more voids, and ancients that I've ever had before in the past 2 years than I first started playing in the first 2 years. Because there's so many, you got Call to Arbiter, we got other stuff that gives us free shards. The like the Doom Tower wasn't there before. Like I noticed now we get more stuff. So Plarium is just trying to get more of these things they're giving you for people who are not smart and saving it for the right time. there's all these things you can do, right, and use your resources for, and they want you, because when you run out of those resources, then you feel like, the FOMO, and then you're like, oh, the game's too hard, I can't go for this fragment somewhere, I can't go for this fusion, oh, player's increasing the points, not fair, blah blah. It's like, well, you have more stuff, you can do it, you just gotta be more diligent and save your things. You don't have to go for every single thing. And like Kenpachi was saying, I've noticed where, like, for instance, if you go crazy, like Nubkex went crazy on the champion training and put like 50,000 because someone trying to snipe him, that's a lot of champion training points. You could have put those champion training to this new Halloween. Like, and got yourself number 1, got yourself relentless gear on top of that and all this stuff. So you just can't literally go for everything, because if you literally do, you're gonna break the bank. You're gonna have to pull out the CC card. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna have to go crazy. And I don't think that's the way to play this game. It should be more fun instead of feeling like you're milked all the time. In terms of its right now super like fusions, no, I think they're not bad. The points are going up a little bit, but because there's so much, content creators and so much more available content where you can go and speed up your runs. You can do, like me, I have basically chickens in all my dungeons now. Like, if you get your account to that type of level, you can really use your resources smart. Instead of having to go to campaign and sit there for 2-3 hours, you can actually go to dungeons and you can triple dip, and getting yourself champion training, dungeon diver, and a dragon tournament at the same time. And if there's artifact enhancement, you can use that silver that you're getting from the gear that you're probably not going to keep 80-90% of it, right? You're going to get all that silver and then use it to level up gear that can help progress your account for Hydra or whatever you're doing, Live Arena. So yeah, I just think people are prioritizing things a little bit different, and that's why they feel that way. But do I think players make it harder? They make it a little bit, like, they make it seem that way. But then the player base do the same. They're not adapting to the new things. Therefore, they're like, yeah, screw player, they're making it harder. Oh, they don't care about us, blah blah blah. And then that's what happens with the sentiment goes back and forth.
Okay. Let me acknowledge some of the chat here. We got Disama in the stream. Thank you for joining us. Ogre Dusan, welcome to the stream. And Hordspore, make sure you guys go follow him over on Twitch. He is another fellow content creator. He is kind of fun to hang out with. And we also have Kavrin, welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining us. Now, as for the burnout with the fusions, and mixing it in with the FOMO, I think my stance is going to say I think they're good at it, right? Releasing the kits, and the thing is, trying to get a fusion is going to be easier than trying to get the champion pulled from a shard, right? The champion pull is just too big, so. I feel like, the fusions are definitely going to progress your account a lot more. And I feel like we've definitely done, or a lot of the content creators like yourselves have pushed the, try to be as efficient as possible. And I think Plarium's seeing that. Plarium's seeing us soloing content, right, with stage 20. Or lower levels or whatever it may be, where we start pushing and being innovative with how we're going to use our resources, and they say, well, we're still here to make money, so bump up those points. Just like Jay was saying, we are getting a point influx. So Pabs, welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining us. Now, let's talk about something that's been going on this week, right? And I've been kind of enjoying this a lot, honestly, which is the turn attack tournaments. I'm not enjoying the turn attack part, but I am enjoying the faction specific. What about you guys? How are you finding this? Are you enjoying coming up with the teams and, looking at your account, seeing, what you can do? Let's start with Kenpachi first.
I mean, it's cool thing. The thing is, most people are like, oh man, I cannot farm on the hard dungeon. Oh man, I cannot do stage 25. I mean, guys, like getting point on this kind of stuff is super easy. Like, you guys don't need to do a hard dungeon, or you guys don't have to do stage 25. Right now, I'm farming Dragon stage 20. Because I don't have any single HP burn or the Poisoner champion. Yes, I have a Tom Drink, but I'm not going to build him just for that. I mean, you need to book him, and I'm not going to book him, so... I'm using my RX, but sadly they are weak affinity on the Dragon 25, so I'm using them on the Dragon 20 with the Whisper, and I'm getting my point. I finished my tournament actually. I'm doing the Ice Golem. Thankfully, I'm a little bit lucky on the Ice Golem because I have a bad Alcazar. He can pretty much solo it on the not pretty much. He can solo it the 25 stage. All I need to put four right, yeah, four undead food so he can farm with them. I personally love this kind of event, especially I love turn attack. Turn attack give you more point, guys, unless you guys have like very early account, so your dungeon time is insanely long. Turn attack actually give you more points, and you can finish your tournament way easier than the normal one. You know, normal one give you points based off the gear you are getting, which is most of the time you are getting 5-star rare, even doesn't matter which stage you are farming. I hate that. Yeah, I definitely enjoy that, but I enjoy little bit more flex. You know, they are doing like, for example, not only one single faction, but they are like Teleria faction. You know, like Demon Spawn, Undead together maybe. This is more like, you know, more alternative. Hey man, I have this champion from Demon Spawn, I can use this one from Undead. I feel like this is more fun. The current one is more challenging, but still viable, guys. You guys can even farm stage 10, and you guys can still get your point for the Wukong Soul. A bad thing is, negative thing is, which is, I agree with the community, the timing. They literally released this event at the same time with the beautiful 3x. Like, we got a Savage from Far Knight, but it was at the same time Demon Spawn. I don't know. Did you guys have a team for the hard dungeon for the Demon Spawn for the Far Knight?
Yeah.
Dragon 3x speed for Night Revenant. Now Ice Golem. I think Ice Golem have a 3x. No, I don't remember actually.
I
Anyway,
think
you will
Ice
get
Golem
it.
is
Reflex.
yeah,
Reflex,
reflex.
yeah. Okay. I mean, here's the thing. You don't have to do that. Like, you can either skip the Wukong Soul, or you can go like, hey bro, I'm skipping Wukong Soul. I'm gonna farm 3x. I'm gonna get good gear instead. You know, you can do that. Or you can say, okay, like they did it at the same time. I'm gonna farm stage 10. I'm gonna finish this event very quickly. Then for my rest of my energy, I'm gonna farm hard dungeon. I'm gonna spend some extra energy. That's correct, but I'm gonna get both of them, right? It's also alternative. Like, no one forcing you. Like, what did I did? I just used my energy to get the point. I skipped the 3x. There is gonna be 3x again, guys. There's gonna be 2x. They are always gonna be open. But is the Wukong Soul gonna be open again? I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay. Nacho, what about you? Are you enjoying these events?
Yeah, the only one that I was pretty salty about was the Fire Knight one because, yeah, I wanted to farm hard mode Fire Knight, so I literally did the 2,000 points or 2,500 points, and then I stopped doing it. So,
Okay.
like, the difference between Fire Knight 20 and hard 6 is half. It's literally half. Going from 25 to hard 10 doubles your drop rate for 6-star epic and higher. Okay, you go from like 4.5% to over 9%, like 4.7 to over 9%. So you are literally doubling your drop rate going to hard 10. For me to get upgrades on my guy, I should show you the shield that didn't get used on my account. It's literally a quintuple crit rate, 31%. Okay. Has speed on it, has crit damage. It's a sunset shield, never once been used on my account. I've had it for 6 months. Okay, for me to get upgrades, it's hard. I don't want to farm Fire Knight 20. Suck my balls.
Jay,
So-
You mean Gina? You mean Gina?
That was the problem I had with this. Okay, all of the other dungeons you can do high level spider. There are people doing hard 10 spider. You can do hard 10 dragon. You can do hard 10 ice golem with Crypt King. Like, there are ways to do all of the other dungeons on hard 10 or any stage of hard except Fire Knight.
okay.
So
Okay.
that was the problem I had. So yeah, the timing. Like, don't run a 3x on the Titan event that you have to run, that you want to run for the Wukong Soul and the 3x gear event. Like, it's too much dipping, you know?
I think this is a good. What we've been talking about is like a little bit of FOMO and just making us feel like we have to do extra work. This is a good scenario where you, as a player, you get to choose: am I going to go for this Wukong, or am I gonna go crazy on Savage and spend like 5,000 energy that I've saved and rather get stuff? So, of course, most people are gonna go for the more people would lean towards the Wukong, right? But what if someone has already pulled Wukong soul or bought themselves their soul? Who knows, right? So they don't have to. I totally understand because there's a dragon. I want to do more dragon, but right now I'm doing ice golem instead as we speak. And I want to go crazy and put more dragon and put more fire knight, but I can't because I want to make sure I get all the tournament points. So I think this is kind of like an interesting thing where maybe they did this on purpose to see what resources you're going to put it. Maybe analytically, if people are actually going for the turn attacks, or to try to get more resources out of people, right? So maybe something else is coming. But in general, I think it's good to have options. We just need to know as players which ones we have to prioritize for your account, right? In terms of this, I like it. I like it a lot. I actually like these turn attacks. They're really good. The only thing I would wish from Plarium is if they're going to do like a whole week of turn attacks or something like that, can we get like a 50% gear cost for, reduction so we can at least try different, have champions that are literally supposed to like solo, they're not meant to do damage. What if I wanted to make a support champion who could do damage, or vice versa? It could definitely open up for more content for videos or showing off different things that no one would ever think about, because no one would actually do that. It's not viable to normally do that, right? But for a turn attack, it could be viable. So that would be something really good. I would appreciate if they could do something like that where they could give us at least 50%, because they just gave us 100% earlier, which they've done it before, is given us 150. So if they're going to try to put more turn attacks, are going to be a more normal thing in Raid for the next coming months. I think they should, if they're going to do a long week, at least give us 50% gear cost removal, at least, so we can at least try different things for these turn attacks.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, as for myself, I've really been enjoying him, and I'm sure you guys are watching now. I think it definitely helps every level of account, right? It's not just for the end game players. Depending on, which stage you're farming, even, stage 10, I think right now I'm running stage 7 and I'm getting 19 points with 5 turns. That's still solid, right? And I think for most of the dungeons, obviously endgame players are going to want to farm the endgame stuff. But it's definitely something that I think was great. I mean, we have been complaining that Raid feels stale, right? I think every content creator, including myself and everyone out there, has been complaining that Raid feels stale. And so they decided to, spruce it up a little bit. Now, the one issue I have, except for what Nacho brought up, which was the Fire Knight thing, right? Because Fire Knight requires specific teams, specific speed tunes to try to get it done, was that they put both the faction specific and turn attack. And I think that kind of gates it behind having to use particular champions, right? Because I would really love to have done some different teams, use some different champions that we don't ordinarily use, right? Now, what do you guys think? Was that the right play? Should they have just done the faction specific, or was it good for them to put the turn attack as part of it? Let's start with Nacho first.
I think the turn attack part of it was fine. Like Kenpachi said, it's more efficient to do that than a traditional dungeon tournament. I think the turn attack is just absolutely fine. The only problem that I had was they picked a faction that can't do the hard mode version of that dungeon. That's the problem I have. You can't pick, the only faction that can do that dungeon on hard mode is dwarves. The fact that they picked anything besides that is troll. All of the other factions can do 10 hard of the dungeon that they were in, except Fire Knight.
Okay.
So I think the turn attack's fine. It's great. They're just as efficient, or not, if not better, for most people. And people that can't do even stage 20s get to participate at really efficient level in these. You know, for a lot of people, I knew somebody that completed the dragon thing for 1,500 energy. It took me 2,500 energy because I did hard 10. You know what I mean? So because they did 10 normal 10 instead of hard 10, they got it done almost twice as fast. So
Right. Right. Yeah. No, like I said, that was I will say that, you know, the turn attack stuff I'm definitely a fan of for the lower levels. It definitely evens the playing field, right? But yeah, I just for myself, I feel like I think you're right. Maybe they just picked the wrong factions. Next time, Plarium, ask us. Let us do a poll and let us tell you who it should be. Kenpachi, what about you? What do you think? Should they have kept them both separate, or the way they did it was perfectly fine with having both requirements?
I mean, I wish every event or the tournament has a turn attack. Like Nacho said, like I said earlier, turn attack is definitely give you more point, guys, per energy you are spending. So even for the faction specifically, like I said, you can farm like stage 20, you can farm even stage 10, 16, you can still get a decent amount of the point. Yes, maybe you are not going to get a gear, but you are going to get a Wukong 4-star soul, you know? Like, it's worth it. I mean, it's worth it. Like, do you think, okay, man, I'm going to farm X dungeon 25 or the hard 10, I'm going to get a good gear? Good luck with that. I mean, if you're in the end game, like Nacho mentioned earlier, like, even we let him to spend his energy on the 3x Savage, on the hard Fahrenheit 10, how many gear you can get to upgrade your champion, Nacho? Like,
I put in 40,000 energy on this Savage event, and I kept one bottom row piece.
not bad.
One in
Bottom.
Savage.
Yeah, bottom is the important
That's
here
the
because
only thing that matters for me now. Top row doesn't. I could get quad crit rate, crit damage, speed, and attack percent on a weapon in Savage. Wouldn't do anything.
because guys, on the top part, like helmet, weapon, and the shield, they were fixed main stat, so you don't have to worry about, hey bro, this main stat is suck. Your main stat is fixed. On the bottom part, you need to get a gear with the good main stat. You need to get a gear at the same time with the good substat. Then you need to roll this gear, and it has to be roll good. Then you need to ascension this gear, and it has to be ascension good. That's the thing in the end game. So if you guys have an end game account, you don't have to worry about the gear cleanse that much because you are not going to get any good gear. You are pretty much going to sell 99% of your gear. So this is kind of the like I keep thinking about that. Why we are still getting 5-star rare? Like even 5-star legendary, I'm not okay with that. But why we are getting 5-star rare?
I don't know.
Like
It just, yeah, that's something that I don't get it. 5-star rares, you know, once you start heading into hard mode, should be out of the question.
This one. Nah, you can't keep the energy cost the same and remove 5-star rares from the table.
I'm changing Plarium actually.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, the problem is, like, you're gonna make dungeon cost 40 energy a run.
If I know, yeah, listen,
it doesn't change anything if you remove the rares. They just prorate the energy to be the same amount.
Listen,
like,
if the run
make it that much better.
No. If the run is guaranteed to give me either a 6-star of epic or higher, just take blues out of it. Blues, 5-stars, 6-stars, and epic 5-stars out of it, and just, you know, you want to inflate the price to 40. I'm good with that because I know
it's even more than that if you want to remove 6-star rares. Too.
Whatever, make it 50.
Bro, you're talking about 80 to 100 a run. If you want to do it that way, that's the rate.
I think that's too much. I think that's too much. But
that's what you do to dungeon diver events, specifically dungeon diver events. If you remove them from the pool, you're talking about removing 80% of the gear that you get and giving you more points for all of those other runs.
But they're increasing dungeon diver too. Like it's not the same.
10% of your gear, 9.5% of your gear comes back as 6-star epic and higher right now. 9.5%. Okay, 1 out of 10 runs is giving you a 6-star epic and higher right now.
I don't know.
If you want to remove 80% of your loot already, Okay, so the other 80% of your runs that are rares and whatever, that everything from 5-star mythics isn't even good at that point. If you want to talk about 6-star epics, so don't even drop 5-star mythics either. Your stat distribution's not good enough. It doesn't give you enough anywhere near enough.
Listen, at level 100, at the stage that I'm at, all I'm getting, 99% of the gear that I'm getting is absolute crap, right? And I'm finding one, maybe two pieces that I'm gonna have to level. I'm perfectly happy spending more energy to farm out those better points or those better pieces of gear.
It doesn't change anything, though, is what I'm telling you. Like,
it should.
If they improve the drop rate and charge you more energy, it's the same thing. It's actually worse than having a low drop rate with low cost. Because if you have a low drop rate with low cost, you have more opportunity to get lucky. If you have an extremely expensive upfront and consistent cost, you don't have a lucky factor whatsoever. Like, they are going to make it, they guarantee it costs 100 energy a run or something obnoxious like that. That's the rate that you're talking about. You're talking about removing 90% of your gear drops right now. Like, 90%. That's insane. For the events that we get, now you're saying if they do that, and then they're saying, okay, now everybody that's farming hard 10s get more points for dungeon divers. We up the points, and now it's impossible to complete these dungeon diver events unless you're farming hard 10.
I'm talking just for hard mode, not for everything below.
No. That's doesn't matter. Like, you can't remove it for hard 1 and not hard 10, and like, it's
you know what? I think anyways, Mo brought up a better point here. You go from 5% loot to, you want to remove 90. That would make hard 1 better than hard 10 if you removed all of the blue loot. Because more percent comes back as blues. I think
not how this works.
I think Mr. Mo brought it up better, where he said they need to scale the drop rates better. I think he's right. I think we'll leave it with that, but I think he's right.
They doubled the drop rates from 25. Literally doubled. So how much more do you want? For
a lot.
Same energy cost. The same energy cost, they doubled your drop rate.
Listen, my time is worth a lot. So if I have to sit here and figure out things and build things,
That's a cop-out. You're playing a fucking video game and it's not an idle game. That is a total cop-out. Complete cop-out. You don't want to build a dungeon team that took you an hour? You didn't want to watch a YouTube video and copy the same builds? Like, that is the most cop-out answer I've ever heard in my life.
I think my time, whether it be I'm buying things to use...
Your 1 hour of playtime today, woo! I wanted my rewards and I wanted them for free. That's such a...
I'm not saying rewards. I'm just saying I would have preferred
blues, and I don't want to spend time building my team. That's exactly what you just said.
We'll leave it up to chat. Chat, let me know who you think is right, me or Nacho. But Jay, what do you think, man?
I think what we learned from this is that basically they want gear to be like shards. If you run like spend like 1,000 energy, you get one piece. You're like, oh, I got this nice legendary or mythical piece. Oh, let me roll it up and see how it works. And then it gets you kind of like, oh, you might get like sad, right? But it makes you want to go back and try again. And it's not like shards where you run out. Like, energy always regenerates. So you're like, okay, I got to keep going back and raiding. Got to keep going doing dungeons. How do I get this faster so I can get more of this mythical gear or more of this legendary gear? So I understand Nacho's whole the rares and the energy like changing. That's true. It would have to change like drastically. And it makes sense. They gave us for the same amount of 20 energy, right? We get to go hard mode, just put a little bit more work on your teams, and boom, you get a little bit more. Yeah, you get more. You might not get as much more as you'd want, but it's still more. Eventually, once maybe we get 11 to 12 hard modes, maybe that's where everyone wants to be. But I honestly think it can't be there yet because then the scaling would change. I know a player who literally hit normal Hydra 4 months ago. Literally this week, they're on Nightmare Hydra. Because they learned, they were watching like videos or came to my classrooms or whatever, and they just maximized all their hard modes. And they just said, I'm not knowing, D20s anymore. I'm just going to go hard modes only. And they were able to build all these champions for Hydra, and go from normal to Nightmare. It took me almost a year and a half to get to Nightmare, and they're able to do it in 4 months, which is crazy.
Jay, let's be a little honest here. I mean, you're stubborn, okay? You're the only content creator out there that doesn't want to use a seer to speed farm any content. So you're not even.
Hey, look, I don't use seers. I don't build unkillables. I don't use Helicath. I don't follow the normal trends of the community, and I still get to where I need to be. So, hey, don't got to copy to win.
2 years later after everybody else, but.
Hey, I got there, though. That's all that matters. I did it my way.
Kempachi, what about you, man? What do you think?
About what? No circump?
Well, I mean, that could be a whole different video within itself. But God. No, I mean about I even forgot what we were talking about. Wow.
We were talking about the dungeons in terms of like
whether they should have kept the turn attacks and or kept them separate.
We talked that. I mean, I answered that question.
Oh, right. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry. We once I start getting in fights with not fights but banter with Nacho, things just change. I'm glad I don't have a blood pressure cuff on my arm because my doctor would be like, "Listen, relax, chill." It's. We'll see. Maybe I might tell the judge I want more of that PP power. But yeah, I mean, overall I do think the sentiment for the community is that they're good. I like them. I think they kind of, again, like what Nacho was saying, is they picked the wrong faction. So I think maybe they just kind of went on the dartboard, said, here, this dungeon gets this faction. So, because some of them just didn't make sense. I think for me, the one that made the most sense was Night Revenants and Dragon, because, you've got poisoners all day there. But like the Dark Elves seemed a little bit of like gated behind having to have cold hearts because there's not a lot more you can do after stage 20. I don't think there's even an HP burn champ for the Dark Elves. Unless I'm mistaken. Is there one that I'm missing? An HP burn champ for Dark Elves?
You're missing a whole lot of things in Dark Elves, actually. So I know people that were doing hard 10 with the Dark Elf challenge because Hex does things on hard mode when you hit main spider. You can just kill all of the other spiders. Same thing on normal spider. So you can use things like Eva on normal spider as well, tank the boss, and botch your day with Mithrala. So there were a lot of ways to do above 20 with Dark Elves, actually. You just need to get a little creative. Supreme Kale was out there as well. Dark Kale with Supreme Kale was an option. And then Zavia was in there. There was Lydia, Mithrala, Astrolith for bombs if you wanted to do that, like do a longer run type thing. There were a ton of options in Dark Elves. This is not the problem whatsoever. There's also Ghostborn with Cold Hearts. Like
yeah. Let me be. I always try to think of the early to mid game player.
I know. Complained that having Cold Hearts was too hard of a requirement. Like, come on, what can they require if they can't require a rare for the faction tournament, man?
Hey, it's a void rare. Okay, it's a void rare.
They also gave her away twice.
Give me a promo code with her right now for somebody.
They did a guaranteed for her twice.
Okay, again, it was still that you had to have the voids, right? But that's what I'm saying. Like my team, I was running 4 Cold Hearts.
Yeah, you could have Cold Hearts. You could do Mithrala, like I was saying with the Hex damage. There was a lot of options. You didn't have to one shot the boss either.
Right, and I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, I would I see the viewers, looking at my analytics, there's viewers at the end game, there's viewers at the early game, and there's viewers in the middle. So I gotta, when I think of things, I gotta try to think of things in all 3 ways, right? I can't just say end game and that's it. Because, there's not a big, I don't want to say big community, but there's not a lot of people that are at that stage, right? I mean,
there's very many early game people that are going to complete these faction tournaments. It's not what it's for. Like,
But it's still something that they should be
need
able
every
to be
single-
doing.
No, it's not. Says who? You?
I
You're not
feel
the one that
well.
decides these things and who
No,
has the
but
right
they
to
should be
participate
able.
in content.
They should
No,
be
that
able
is-
to compete in it and have some fun. That's the thing.
That's completely incorrect. Plarium gets to choose when you get to begin doing content. Basically, at what point in your account's
No.
progression? Yes, they do. That's why
Plarium
there's
decides
different-
when you get to spend money to progress. That's the only thing they decide.
That is a complete cop out. You're wrong entirely. Hydra is not something that is early game viable. Doom Tower is not an early game thing. Normal Doom Tower, sure.
And I'm not
hard
talking
Doom
about
Tower.
that.
They
I'm
get
talking
to
about
decide
dungeons.
When they get to decide. No, you're not. You're
Yes,
just
I am.
doing shit out.
I was just talking.
my
We're
God.
just talking about the turn attack dungeons. I'm talking about the turn attack dungeons. I'm talking
You
about
said
a player.
dungeons, Like that has nothing to do with this. Okay, participating in the turn attack things is not an early game piece of content, and that is Plarium's decision. That's fine. Like, the Wukong event is still not gated by any faction tournament. There was not a single one you have to do. You can skip every fucking one and get the Wukong soul.
We will have to wait and see because I don't know what else. Yes, I know what you're going to say. The point wise for the rest of the stuff, I mean, we have, 500 points here.
You don't need the Eternal Soul Stone. That's not... Like,
Right,
they
and
made
I'm-
the requirement 2/3. You need to do 2/3 of the Titan event for your Wukong Soul. Therefore,
I'm not-
they can gate the faction tournaments behind a certain account progression. That is their right. That is the whole point. To give us something to do later. They don't need to make everything accessible to early game. Saying that, oh, you don't have Cold Heart, you can't do this, that's fine. That is a perfectly fine stance to have. Like, if you can't require a rare that you've done 2 guarantees for, like, what can you require out of a faction tournament? Come on, man.
I mean,
I
here's
don't
the thing. Like, if there is an early game player, like, let's say he's struggling on the turn attack, like I said earlier, they are giving us way more point than you can get a 4-star Wukong, which is like, this dude still get a 2-star Wukong. It's still something for him, you know, like, he doesn't need to get the 4-star, like, if he's very, very early game, stuff like that, or no resources. He can get maybe 2-star, maybe even 1-star, maybe 3-star. That can still help him, to be honest.
True. All right, let me acknowledge some of the chat here. Dan, welcome to the stream. Kamalpo1, welcome to the stream. As for the audio, guys, I don't know. It seems I've been trying to do a couple of different things here. Every time Nacho talks, like, it goes way into the red, so I don't want to bleed everybody's ears out. So I've been I'm doing this kind of auto thing so it doesn't, blow everybody's ears out. So it's OBS that's controlling that, but I'll try to do it manually now. All right, so let's, the sentiment is going to be they're great. I think the factions just need to be changed a little bit. But other than that, I think they're good. I think they're good for the early game community, the end game community. They're fun to have. And I think I think this is probably the 1 week so far out of the last couple of months that I've really enjoyed playing Raid. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like it's been a pretty good sentiment. All right, let's kind of move into something a little different, right? We got the bombshell about the bigger than Doom Tower, and that seems to be one of those things that everybody has been talking about, right? But I'm kind of concerned about what preparations we need to have in place, right? Because we don't know what the content's going to be. We don't know whether it's going to be gated by, specific champions, whether it's going to be us having energy stockpiled because it's going to be under energy cap or energy resource. Or, as Kenpachi was saying, it might be because you need a particular fusion because you can't have it down the line, or you might need, potions as a new currency. Who knows? But let me ask you guys, what are you guys doing to prepare, if anything, for what's coming down the pipeline? Let's start with Nacho first.
The biggest thing is just going to be books. Nobody knows what we're going to need built. So you're probably going to have to build champions that you don't have built right now. When you look at things like Hydra, they've only made utility 2 champions that we weren't using before. Look at Skull Vergal. I think that's one of the biggest examples. I think people think is just a god tier champion in Hydra now. Nobody is using Skull Lord for anything except for maybe shaving 30 seconds off their Scarab runs. Like, he was completely useless. Now he's a top 5 provoker. So we are going to see a lot more situations like that. We might see old strategies come in hand again. So when maybe our Septimuses become useful again, or something like that. So like that would be cool, right? Get that.
Yeah.
I have 3 of him.
Yep, me too. So we may see some old strategies come into play again, but we may need to update them with some new champions that we have, or we may see entirely new mechanics. So I'm going to say books are probably the number one thing that I am prepping for and trying to have at least 1 champion I can build, 2 champions I can build book-wise when the content comes out, and maybe just figure out the rest until then, until some metas start forming and stuff like that. So.
Okay. I think that's a fair point. I think, you are right. We don't know what it's going to be, and building specific champions is going to be probably something we're going to have to do. So let's go with Jay. What are you doing to prepare for this, man?
I'm trying to, but at the same time, I still have to do things for the game. So I look at it this way, that I have some energy saved in my mailbox, about like 4,000 saved there. I've been using my, I apparently had points, tons of points from the Google Play Store, not the Player and Play points. And I just converted all that into energy so I could get more stuff, a little bit for this Wukong event, and then some for the future. And yes, I think Nacho is right. Like, books, man. Like, I just booked Artak for Nightmare and stuff, but I'm like, still don't have that many. So I'm like, ugh. But I'm thinking about saving some, because next CVC is not going to be personal, right? It's going to be the one after that. So I was like, maybe I should save books and just do a lot of forging instead, right? So I can get those points that I need for my clan. But honestly, silver, man. Silver, I just go through so much silver, because, I didn't have to build all the champions I did, right? 'Cause I have like almost 4 Painkeepers, 5 Armigers, 5 Vogods. I have a lot of champions built. But yeah, that's probably one thing. That's the next thing I'm focusing on, is making sure my silver usage is not all the way, because I feel like I always go rich to broke. I go to like 30 to 50 mil, right to like 2 mil in one day. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Okay. Kenpachi, what about you?
I totally agree with the Nacho. He got a good point there, legendary book. But also save your mythical book, guys, because end of this content, we are gonna get a mythical champion. We don't know her yet. I believe she's gonna be one of the mythical champion they show us with the Mikage video on the Twitter.
The intro.
I believe she's gonna be good, decent, because like so far, like we got that kind of champion from where, like Faction War, right? We got a Lily, amazing champion. Hydra give us another champion, Mithril, freaking awesome, right? I believe this also gonna be decent. So let's say you got lucky, or maybe unlucky, you got one of the worst mythical champion. Don't book that one. Save your mythical book for the next one. Or maybe if you are thinking to book your Mikage, maybe let's wait and see the new mythical champion first, because we don't know. Maybe it's gonna be better than Mikage. I believe it's gonna be better than Mikage, by the way. So it's not that easy to get the mythical book, so maybe consider to save them. Another thing, like Nacho mentioned that also earlier, man, I really want like champion on our vault, hopefully gonna get useful on the new content. This is I really wanted, like, because like from Pilarium Speed, like it's gonna take them forever to buff the, I don't know, 80% of the legendary champion in this game. Maybe some epic as well. And when they buff the champion, like if the champion is staying on my vault after they get a buff, I'm sorry, but this is not a buff. Like there is lots of champion they buff recently and they are still on my vault. What kind of buff is that? I'm not saying that make them Baron level, but you can still make them a little bit useful, like just a little bit work. Like I think they buffed the Blood Gorder, they just increased his base speed like 8. What kind of buff is that? Even you give him plus 100 speed, he's still gonna be trash. Like, anyway, like hopefully like champion are useless on the current content. gonna be amazing on the new content. That's really I want, and it's definitely gonna have more player. You know, it's gonna be like, hey man, I pulled the trash champion, bro. He's not trash anymore. Like new content, amazing champion. You know, enjoy man, congrats, freaking awesome. You know, like it's so good. You know, like I'm like, hey bro, look, oh whoa, new content coming, guys. You have this champion, bro. I got him like last month. I put him on my vault. Time to build him now. You know, like stuff like that. That will be pretty cool. But right now we don't know anything yet. But Nacho advice was good. Save your book unless you have a better alternative. You know.
Okay.
Yeah. The rest of the stuff just gonna be like, yeah. I mean, nobody know anything except Pilarium at this moment.
That is true. That is true. Yeah, I definitely think you guys bring both great, or all of you guys brought great ideas. What I've currently been doing, because I've been seeing a lot more of these turn attacks coming up, and I feel it's going to happen, especially if they start buffing champions, is I've been going through and gearing champions with good builds. Champions that so I've been farming a lot, right? I've been farming a lot, and I've been gear cleansing a lot and keeping pieces that I really, really want. But at the same time, I've been going through and I've been gearing almost every single one of my champs, right? Or at least trying to, with builds that are going to be good now, and, builds that are going to be good in the future. So like my average speed on most of these champions is like 225 plus, right? Survivability, I'm looking at like 50k plus. So I feel like having the champions ready to go is going to help my progression. Granted, again, we don't know who and what we're going to need, but I feel like for myself, gearing them, having them ready to go is kind of what I want, because I don't want to start building sets and champions at the last minute, because if I can't complete a set with the proper stats, and have it useful, I don't think it benefits me at all.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they are gonna release a teaser video, before this new content release it. So couple of weeks ago, maybe, hopefully. So it can give you some time.
That is true. That is true. But I mean, Suzerac and Catan is one of those champions that I built in a toxic set, because I was like, you know what? He's got AoEs on everything. I think we can make something like this work. And, whether I need it on him or not, at least now I have this build ready to go if I need to swap it to a new champion, barring the, banners and stuff like that.
At least now you get to spend 2.5 mil silver.
You know what? Yeah. I get to spend
times
the silver
100. Times 100. Yeah.
That is true. But you know what? The way I see it, being a content creator, I can do a champion spotlight on this guy and see if he's worth building for somebody else. And, if it's not, if somebody else builds it or if they buff it, I want to be able to show them that, they can be used for this. But yeah, for myself, I feel like building champions, because I do have a lot of fun building the champions and also, showcasing them under the right space, right? But now let's talk about what should the player base be doing at this point? What should they be focusing? Because it has not been confirmed yet. I want to make sure that everybody knows, but I'm anticipating we're going to get an announcement either tomorrow or Tuesday for the next fusion, right? The timeline just fits. And it's either going to be one of two. It's either going to be a epic fusion, which everybody will skip, save the resources, and then move on to the legendary fusion at the end of the month. Or, it's going to be a legendary fusion now, and then you're going to skip the next one, which should be an epic one, because they usually try to do one of those epics in the middle of the fusion, in the middle of those months between November and October. But what do you guys think the community, except for what we currently talked about, saving books and silver, should be doing? Should they be going for fusion still? Should they, kind of give themselves a break and relax so they don't get burnt out when the new content comes out? What are your thoughts? Let's go with Nacho first.
I think I can just say skip the next couple of 2x events. Like, skip the whole next cycle. You'll thank yourself. if there's anything that is going to be useful for the new content right when it comes out, even they hold an event, there's going to be shards for it. If you want to do the fusions, you need shards for them, these things. So the biggest thing I can say on other than what we already talked about is save your shards too, right? We want to save everything that we can, so don't pull them just willy-nilly on 2x. There's always going to be another 2x. Okay, that's why pulling on fusions has so much more weight than 2x's or 10x, because you know what you're going to get out of it, right? We know we're going to have more of those events, so just hang on, skip the next cycle, you'll thank yourself.
Okay. Kenpachi, what about you?
I mean, it's really hard to make a comment about the fusions right now because I'm thinking about the Panda right now. So maybe this new content, he cannot place an infable debuff right on the boss. Maybe there is not going to be boss. Maybe it's going to be like one of the faction. Boss is not a problem for Bannerlord, I think. There is a minion on the boss side. They are dealing insane amount of the damage. Boss is not hitting you hard. And imagine it's a minion. It's not a boss. You can place infable on it, right? So even the next fusion is going to be useless, bad fusion, let's say. I think it's still going to be a good idea to get them because if I know the Polarium, they are doing this cynical stuff. Like, if you guys look, have you guys noticed that, by the way, the current mythical fusion, the epic recruitment, they are previous fusion's epic champion. Or rare as well, actually. So if you get the fusion, but if you didn't get the copy of them, and if you didn't manage to pull extra, you cannot get them, right? So I believe Pillarım gonna do some cynic stuff. I believe we also see the fusion champion. This there's a one lady and the one fat man. They're in the game right now on the event page. I believe the fat man gonna be fusion, and I can already tell he's a trash because he have a true fear skill. Who the hell need a true fear skill? But again, maybe new content need a true fear skill. Maybe damage increase like 50% for the true fear, blah blah, whatever.
Maybe the new Hydra head. Maybe you'll be able to fear the. Well, maybe you'll be able to fear the new Hydra head instead of provoke it.
Actually, we talked about that last week on my stream. We was talking about True Fear, or he's a trash champion, I said, and somebody said, what if they buff the True Fear? And I asked him, what kind of buff? What if you can place a True Fear debuff enemies under Stone Skin? Bypass the Stone Skin.
It's
a good idea, isn't it? Yeah,
that would be a solid one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good idea, actually. You should listen to that. Again, guys, even the next fusion is gonna be shitty looking. I still recommend that you guys get that. I personally not doing the shitty fusion, but I'm gonna try the next one, which is gonna be Halloween, right?
Okay. Jay, what about you?
Hopefully the next one's going to be a fragment summon. They usually don't go back-to-back fusions, even though the community calls them both fusions. Because we did have Emic, right? So we don't have to worry. Hopefully, we don't have to worry about a fragment fusion summon. Most people don't like that. But if it's just going to be a fragment summon, it's just going to be generic, normal stuff. Players will just have to make sure don't go too crazy on your energy, don't go too crazy on your gems. Save most of these stuff. Save a decent amount of silver for artifact enhancements because there's going to be multiple dungeon divers, multiple AEs. But if it's a fusion, you're gonna have to definitely want to save all your shards. Because most people might be able to do summon rush because they got their mystery shards, but then when champion chase comes, they pulled everything or they don't have enough resources, and then they cry that there's a rare or epic or something and it's too many points, blah blah blah. It's going up, players making it harder when you could have just saved from the beginning. But that's all I can say to the community. It's pretty much what we normally do on a monthly basis, but it hopefully it's going to be a fragment summon, I think, because usually they like to go 1-1. Sometimes they go 2-2, right? 2 fragments, 2 fusions. But we've gotten so many things this year. I don't know if a lot of people have noticed that. People are leaving the game, but it's bro, do you know how much Plarium has actually given us this year? That's insane. Champions all the way since RTAC till now. It's
daily login.
We got daily login champions. How many? We got RTAC, Wukong, Newt is insane champion.
Wasn't Rhonda this year too?
Yeah, I thought she was last. I thought she was last year.
She might have been at the end of the year last year.
Yeah, she might have been right at the end.
So,
she was right at the end, but ended right at the beginning of this one.
Right. So more of the story is they've given us so much more than before. Before we get Ninja 1 year, you get Deliana 1 year, you know what I'm saying, or maybe 2, but they're not insane. The past year, in terms of like November to I guess this November, we've just gotten nuts stuff. And I'm like, they're just giving it to you. It's not like you have to, some stuff like Emic and Gnut, you have to put work, but you're putting work to get something that's going to actually do work on your account, right? It's going to do a lot of work. That one guy, Bronco Raid, has shown what you could do with one Emic, how much you can do. It's crazy. In the same speed tune, right? So, yeah, it's just, I think overall the player base just have to save, it most likely just shards and some energy and silver. That's pretty much it. You don't have to go too crazy. I don't think it's going to be another fusion. Personally, but there's also going to be bigger than Doom Tower content that's supposed to come out right after this as well. So that's what we're talking about and what we're saving, and that's hard to save. I mean, Lego books, of course, and mythical books, tomes, but that's just, you don't even know what it could be. I mean, it could be anything. They could make it crazy or they could make it fun, and I hope they make it more fun. People they don't want more RNG. We've already dealt with Hydra, already dealt with other things. I mean, having sheep, they're nerfing sheep, so hopefully Arena's going to be a lot better. They said that they're adding another slight nerf to it, so that's good, right? I just think balancing, a little bit more balancing, and implementation. Those are the two things that player needs to work on, and then, dude, the game will be so much more fun.
Okay. I mean, in general, I feel like whatever this content's going to be, we can try to prepare for it as much as possible, and they'll still figure out a way to gate it behind something else they need or they want us to have, right? So we say everything, and we definitely, should be saving what we can. You shouldn't be me right now opening your soul stones because, you just want to try to get something. And all you're getting is these really, really crappy rares, 4 stars, and epics 4 stars. But yes, saving is definitely one of those things that we should be doing. I feel like for everybody, though, what we need to start looking at is keeping copies of champions, right? And keeping copies of, obviously the rares might not be as well for us to hold on to unless you're early game. But we saw with this last fusion that they did with the Lady Macadra, it was all champions that we currently have. And so what happens if, we don't have the particular champion, right? I'm somebody that, why? 6-star. I'm somebody that, literally has everything I can saved in my vault for champions. And I still am missing 2 epics for the Lady Macad fusion, right? And it's just these guys. And I've never pulled them on this account. And it's like killing me. So I need to awaken. Yeah, I don't know. As for booking your Emic, I definitely think he's worth it because you can use him for Shogun along with your Iron Twins team. He's definitely
Twins.
yeah, he's definitely
legit. I love that team.
50.
Yeah, you know it. Team?
Dude, it's 50 seconds. It's so nice. Oh.
Yeah, it's he's definitely
Gaming also
worth
great
it.
on the arena, by the way. He's fantastic. I'm using him.
Yeah, I've been using him too. He's especially like they pick a bunch of super squishy nukers or whatever. Like these don't have a recovery path. They're like, I'm gonna one shot you, I promise. Oh well, I'm gonna bring Emic in here. Leo used to be what I used to pick a lot of that type, but Emic comes in great now too.
Yeah. All right, so we have had a lot of fun talking, about players leaving turn attack dungeons, preparing for what's coming. But how about, are we prepared for our shoutouts? Let's start out with Jay first.
So last time I did Bronco, I'm gonna shout out to Biohack. Biohack has been putting a lot of work into Live Arena and some other comps as well. I don't think he has 2 channels. A lot of people don't even know Biohack has his own separate, and then he has an RSL one. But shout out to Biohack RSL.
Yep. Biohack is definitely someone to talk with. Funny, actually, he's a big proponent of using Deacon in Live Arena. And, you know, I'm not going to lie, he wins quite a bit of matches with it too. But what about Nacho? What do you have for a shout out, sir?
I am going to shout out Soul Saint this week. He just became an official content creator, so big congratulations to him. He's only been in the raid community like 6 months, 9 months, maybe it feels like not that long. And he's just massive success, and big shout out to him. He's been super helpful to all kinds of people. Super relatable guy as well. You know, like average account. You know, really. You know, towards the end game and all that stuff. But you know, people look at me and they're like, "Oh, you just got a big old fail account." It's not quite as, you know, entertaining to some people, to something that they can relate to. You know, I think it's another reason like Pogo so been so successful. But yeah, big shout out to Soul Saint. So
okay, guys, we won here. We got a Harrier, 3-star Harrier. We won right there.
And an
best pull, best one right there. Kenpachi, what about you, man? Who are you gonna shout out for me?
Let's not shout out Soul Saint again. I would shout out him, but let's shout out the Nacho. Maybe he's gonna made it CC as well. That will be great. Nacho is playing almost daily, every day on the Twitch, so he's helping the account doing takeovers, mostly Hydra, and he's very good on the Hydra. You guys need to listen to his advice. Let's shout out to Nacho and wish him good luck.
Okay. So for me, it actually was kind of an interesting week because a couple of days ago, what the hell? Sorry guys, I'm looking at here, 2 mythical ones popped out. But it was an interesting week because, you know, I've talked to Hell Hades and I've talked to a couple of the other content creators. And then all of a sudden on like Friday night, my analytics just start popping off, and I did not post anything that was like a really good video. But all of a sudden my views went up, my subscriber count starts coming up, and come to find out, I got a shout out from Ash Raid Shadow Legends. And he actually shouted both myself and Biohack out, as, you know, some small content creators. And, you know, it definitely means a lot when the higher ups are, I don't want to say shedding light on us smaller creators, but when we start impacting what they do, it talks a lot in volume. So my shout out's actually going to go to Ash for, you know, being one of those guys out there that's showing love to everybody else, even whether they're big or small as a content creator. And, you know, he's not that far away from me. He lives like 35, almost 40 minutes away. So hopefully one of these days I get to meet him. But yeah, my shout out's going to go to him, just because, you know, it was appreciated. It was appreciated. So let's give our closing thoughts. What do you guys plan to do for next week? Let's start with Nacho. What are your plans?
Well, I got my ignored defense to 10 out of 10 for Hydra, so we are going for big numbers. Big numbers. I can't wait.
Okay. Kenpachi, what about you?
I'm gonna finish book my second Arima on the CVC started and gonna abuse both of them on the Hydra. I'm really enjoying that actually, yeah.
You guys are watching this, right?
I've watched this guy pull 80 soul stones. He hasn't pulled a single mythic. He pulls 5 and 20, and 2 of them are my cage. Like, what?
No, it gets even worse, guys. It gets even worse because I was pulling stones for the event, and I pulled a 5-star of hers. I'm like, what the?
That's crazy.
Jay, what about you, man?
I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on live arena and tag team arena. I know maybe in the future we might do another content creator games, and so and a lot of my community wants to eventually. Still, people don't believe this, but a lot of players are still stuck in Silver 3, Silver 4 of tag team. They want to finally get to gold, at least gold 1. So I'm going to be focusing on my content there, trying to help people what champions to use there and stuff like that. I mean, I should be, right? I came in through the Tag Team Arena Facebook contest, so I should be focusing most of my content there, but I just don't But now that I've already gotten to gold and I can show people a little bit more the suffering of what I went through silver and stuff like that. So that's what I'm going to be focusing. That and Nightmare Hydra.
Okay. Okay. Ogre, I just want to say I'm a dirty pay to win whale. Some days it just happens. But sometimes you just got to enjoy the game for what it is. That's it. Just enjoy the game for what it is. But as for me, my plan for the rest of this week and upcoming next week is going to be to, start working on a few more of these dungeon teams that are champion specific or faction specific. And because I have been enjoying them, right? Thinking outside the box, looking at champions, building particular champions. Like I probably would have never built my suzerain in a toxic sec if it wasn't for using him in Ice Golem, right? But yeah, so guys, it has been a wonderful time. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you everyone who stayed with us for the 2 hours today, listening to me and Nacho, going at it. Hopefully the divorce will be finalized next week, and if it is, we'll let you guys know. The player power, I'm still gonna ask for 10. I'm gonna ask for 10. But as always, guys, much love, much appreciation. Be safe, be well, be good to each other. We'll catch you guys next time.